Hello and welcome to the Morale Booster podcast. I am Dr. John Ugulu, your host. In this season of From Idea to Impact, we will dive deep into the creative process of an entrepreneur. And in this episode, we are thrilled to welcome our guest, Rachell Dumas. She is a registered nurse, a maternal health advocate, and founder of A Light After Nine, which, of course, is a nonprofit dedicated to supporting families after pregnancy loss and fertility journeys. Inspired by her personal journey through nine pregnancy losses and the eventual birth of her miracle son, she now offers compassionate resources, community, and resilience strategies for others who are navigating similar challenges. So, ladies and gentlemen, join me as I welcome our entrepreneur for the year. I'll give her that because she's doing an amazing job. No other person but Rachell Dumas. Rachell, welcome to the Morale Booster podcast.
Thanks for having me, John. I'm so happy to be here, and that was a very amazing introduction that you had.
You are an amazing person, so you deserve even more
Thank you. I
because you're
appreciate it.
doing you. You're welcome. You're doing a great work, doing a
Thank you.
great job, and the fact that you've been able to turn your test into your testimony, that says a whole lot about you. I
Oh, thank
appreciate you
you.
on behalf of the Morale Booster community. We appreciate you and all you do.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Welcome, welcome. Tell us, who is Rachel? Who's behind Rachel? Who's behind her strength? And what's we need to learn?
Yeah. So it was a rough journey, which started in 2018. Actually, I had my first positive pregnancy test, went to the OBGYN, and he said, "You're having a miscarriage, but it's a normal part of pregnancy. And you will go on to have a baby and to not worry about it," which is so ironic considering my story, right? So, fast forward to 2020, I went to New York. I was a travel nurse. I worked on the COVID ICU during the pandemic. And when I got sick and had to come home from my assignment early, I also found out that I was pregnant as well. But this time I was pregnant with twins. So scared, but excited. I went about my pregnancy, but I had complications that caused me to go in and out of the OBGYN's office almost every week, if not twice a week. I ended up losing one twin. And once that twin was lost, all my symptoms went away. I was feeling good. And then my friends decided to throw me a gender reveal. And during that reveal, or an hour before the reveal, I went to the bathroom and the baby fell out. So it just really was like the official commencement of a very traumatic pregnancy journey at that point. I went to the OBGYN and she diagnosed me with which what is called cervical insufficiency, which is at the end of your uterus is the cervix, and it has to stay tight for the baby to bear its weight on top of it. When you give birth, it opens up, and then the baby comes out at the end of your pregnancy. But my cervix was weak, so once the baby got heavy enough, which was typically around the second trimester, it will fall out, or he or she will fall out. So after that, she was like, if you get pregnant again and we make it to the second trimester, we're going to have a surgery called a transvaginal cerclage. So we have this cervix and we'll put a suture around it to keep it closed throughout the pregnancy. And you're going to have a seamless pregnancy. So I had another miscarriage, and then another miscarriage early. So here we are, 2021, April. I found out I was pregnant. I made it to the second trimester, and I made it to the OR to get the transabdominal cerclage placed. I then had an appointment at 20 weeks. I had the cerclage placed at 13. And at the 20-week appointment, despite of the doctor saying you would be in excruciating pain if this cerclage failed, I went into the appointment very optimistic. I was feeling good. And then the doctor came in and said, your cyclage failed. You can go and give birth to the baby. I said, when the baby passed? And she said, yeah, but we can't do anything else for you. So I decided to fight for that child. And I had all of my friends, my village, look for doctors who would place a second cerclage called a transabdominal cerclage higher than the transvaginal cerclage during pregnancy, which is very hard to find. I could not find a doctor practicing to do that in Atlanta, so we found one in Dallas. I called him. He said, "Fly to Dallas. We'll do it right away." And I flew to Dallas that night. That day, he rolled me back to the OR. He said it'll take about 3 hours to get the transabdominal cerclage in there. It took 8 hours. But when I came out, I was surrounded by healthcare providers and workers cheering me on, saying, "We're still pregnant. We survived the surgery. Everything's well." Unfortunately, when the anesthesia wore off, I went into labor, and they gave me so many different medications to try to stop it. But I labored for 30 hours, and then my water broke. And then I had to go back to the OR and get both of the sutures out, and I had to deliver that baby who did not survive. At that point, I was very depressed. I had PTSD, and it was just a very hard time. But I really had something in me saying, I want to have this baby, and I kept pushing. That same doctor in Dallas, promised me that if that was to happen, that we would lose that baby, he would fly me out and he would put the cerclage back in while I wasn't pregnant. And then you'll be able to get pregnant again and carry that baby. So true to his word, that November he flew me out. I went to the hospital, got the surgery. I had early miscarriages, two early miscarriages after that. But May 2022, I found I was pregnant. I made it through the first trimester. I made it through the second. I made it through the third. And on 12/30/2022, I had my son, Nazir, finally, after 9 losses.
Wow. Wow. God is good. So tell us about your mission, what you do currently, and how things are going with your nonprofit.
Absolutely. So I stepped away from the bedside in 2020 to start my first business called Onward Healthcare, where I help outpatient surgery centers and clinics and smaller healthcare companies with compliance. And when I got pregnant, I definitely couldn't go back to the bedside because I kept miscarrying what I would try. So I started working from home. But because of my pregnancy journey and all of the issues I had, both physically, with access, with failed surgeries, and just so many other issues that I had, lack of advocacy and lack of treatment, delayed treatment, I really wanted to create something after I healed. I wanted to create something meaningful that will also help me heal even further, to help others who are going through similar issues to not have anywhere as many miscarriages and stillbirths as I did, and just to give back, because there was so many times that I needed advocacy and resources, and it was so hard to find them during that time of trauma, which was my pregnancy journey. So because of that, I created A Light After Nine. I named it that because my son is truly a light after 9 losses. And we do so much. We advocate for maternal health. We make sure we provide our moms and families and birthers with resources such as mental health resources. If you need assistance finding a doctor, especially specialists that can be tailored to your pregnancy journey or fertility journey, which I definitely needed special doctors to help me get to this point. We also provide grants and grant resources because this journey is very expensive. It's so expensive. And the medical bills have lasted longer than the pregnancy journey, unfortunately. And that's the case for many people who are going through this journey. And then we also advocate and we speak out on mental health issues that are going on by going to different conferences and podcasts and media resources, because we are in the midst of a maternal health crisis and we need to approach it very differently than we are.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing. And that's a great business you are involved with. And how's it uh, turn out? How are people receiving the idea of you setting up such an investment or business venture?
Yeah, it's been an incredible journey since I started this business. The nursing world is so receptive. Media is so receptive of my story and what I'm doing. Patients, people, birthers are so grateful, so receptive of our services that we provide. The outreach is amazing, and I'm just so grateful that I'm able to do this. It's a very amazing way to heal through after the journey that I just had. But it's definitely needed, and I didn't know how much it was needed until I went through this journey myself. And like you said, God puts us through these things, and we're like questioning why are we going through this during the journey, you know? But now I'm seeing why, because I wouldn't have built this momentum to start this business. I wouldn't have the education and the experience to be able to give back, and I wouldn't be helping the people who needs to be helped. I want to say that you're not alone, and that there are other people outside of me who have been through this journey. Maybe not as many miscarriages. This is quite a bit, but one miscarriage and nine, you can feel the same way. You can't tell people, how to feel based off the amount of miscarriages. It should be no miscarriages. But in order to get resources, I know during those traumatic times of loss, it's hard to even think about what you need, let alone do research to find out, what is out there. So please reach out to us. We are a la carte, but we are also a comprehensive package of everything that you would need along this journey. Let us do the work for you. Because when you're in the midst of loss and possible loss and fertility journeys and all these things that you have to take care of physically, the last thing you want to do is worry about how can I find a therapist? How can I find another specialist? How can I pay for this? It's an additional burden that you don't have to go, carry on your own. So please reach out to Light After Nine. We also are partnered with other organizations and are working to expand that partnership so that if we can't provide a service or we don't have it, we know another organization does, because it's truly a group effort and a village effort to combat these maternal health issues.
Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
So my overarching goal is to put a dent in maternal death rate. It's horrible, and with the recent political changes with Roe versus Wade and the abortion changes, it's only getting worse. And there's a big fear for me for the future because of the recent political changes that we just sustained. So ideally, I would like to decrease maternal health disparities, help with putting out resources and putting it in front of people's face when they're going through that struggle, because it's hard to look for it. But overall, I want to decrease disparities in maternal health, innovate a new way of approaching it so that we can decrease it faster, and also decrease the maternal death rate.
Hmm, that's awesome. So, do you do workshops right now, or are you thinking of doing workshops just to create the awareness?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am doing different conferences where I'm also doing workshops. All of next year, I have quite a few conferences booked. So there I'm
Hmm.
doing workshops because it's not just for the patients themselves, but us as healthcare providers, we need to know how to approach maternal health trauma and maternal health in general. So I'm doing different workshops there, such as implementing palliative care in maternal health. That's a very underused service that we have already in hospitals that we really need to incorporate when there's a maternal trauma, or when there's a patient in the hospital who is going through treatment for whatever maternal health issue that they have. We need that hand
Right.
holding, and we need that case management and hand holding well outside the hospital after discharge.
Okay, that's great. Great, great. Thank you so much for sharing. Have you ever thought of writing a book to put your story in a book?
Yeah, I am in the process of transcribing my book. So I have been slowly writing it in the midst of doing all this other stuff. So hopefully I
Mm.
should be finished by the end of this year with my book, and I'll start pitching it to agents. And I really want it to be a big release because it's a big story and it's going to impact a lot of people. So wish me luck.
Thank you so much for sharing. And one last thing I would want to ask you to do for our listeners.
Absolutely.
I always ask our guests to just give some words of encouragement. I asked you before to encourage a lady, or a lady who is going through what you've been through, but this time around it's going to be a general thing. There's so many people who life is not, or not life, they think life is not fair to them.
Mm-hmm.
For me, in the era of personal development, I know everything happens for a reason.
Yes.
But there are some people who right now they are at the lowest moment,
Yeah.
and they feel that, look, the world is just crashing on them. I want you to, for 1 minute, speak to that man or that woman. It doesn't matter. It could be relationship, it could be not working, it could be job loss, it could be health issues, but right now they are at their lowest moment. Just imagine them. And that person is listening to us right now. Just word of encouragement for 1 minute, please.
Yeah. So I'm happy to do that. I had a very rough childhood with abuse and neglect, and I had multiple traumas since being a child, whether it was childhood, my pregnancy journey, divorce. It was just so much that I been through, and I really thought at multiple points in my life that I wouldn't survive. And I also thought that God hated me because why would he put me through this so many times? I wanted to give up. I wanted to bow out, and I wanted to sometimes just just stop moving forward. And I realized that I have a testimony and I have a journey, and that I was only picked because I'm able to sustain these traumas, and I'm able to use their resilience and build their resilience to end up in a better place and to be on the other side and to be a light for other people. And I wouldn't be able to tell this story to you, and I wouldn't be able to share my resources and my experience and my compassion had I not gone through those things. I questioned it throughout the whole journey. Why me? But it wasn't until after I was on the other side, like now, that I truly understood that it had to be me. So why not me? And I'm here to tell you today that you will make it through your journey as long as you don't bow out, that you will make it through your job loss, through your pregnancy journey, through your feelings that you're insignificant or not worth it, through your losses of loved ones, through the loss of yourself. That when you get on the other side, you will see why, and you will be the person on the other side telling your story to others.
Yes, yes, that was powerful, inspirational,
Thank you.
powerful and inspirational. Yes, thank you so much for sharing. And I believe somebody out there right now has been, and you've inspired someone out there. Someone out there right now has been given a different impression of life. And I want to add this to say, it doesn't matter how bad you think your situation is, you who's listening to us right now, your current situation, no matter how bad, in fact, I'm saying it right now with all confidence, no matter how bad you think your situation is, your current situation is someone else's prayer point. Believe me.
Absolutely.
Believe me. Yes, it is someone else's prayer point. So always know that you have a life here on earth. You have an assignment. Always remember that you you were the chosen one. if you understand the reproductive system, the birthing system, out of millions of sperm cells that swam towards the ovary, towards the egg, only one sperm cell was chosen out of millions to fertilize the egg. And you were that chosen sperm. No matter what you're going through, you who's listening, you were the chosen sperm out of millions. What does that tell you? It means you're special.
Hmm.
It means you have a story. It means you have an assignment. It means you were not sent into this world by accident. You were sent into this world on purpose, with a purpose, and for a purpose. Yes. So thank you
Absolutely.
so much. Yeah, thank you so much, Rachel, for sharing. I will really do appreciate you, and I hope when next I invite you, you would be willing to come and talk to my audience.
Absolutely. I sure would. I
Yes.
would love to. Anytime, John, just let me know.
All right. So she is based in Georgia. Once again, she is the founder of A Light After Nine. She finally found light after nine miscarriages. A Light After Nine. So follow her on social media. Um, Her contact information is right there for all of you. Go visit her. Follow her on Instagram, A Light After Nine. Follow her on Twitter, follow her on TikTok and LinkedIn. Her website is a lightafter9.org. Go there right now. If you want to, collaborate with her, if you want to refer clients to her, if you want to, seek her advice in areas of concern, feel free to reach out to her.